inheritance stuff, it's a through a process whereby it requires you to create a class. So I'm going to first list those things we need. So we start with a comment. So first of all, we need a class. So this is our number one. We need a class. Then our number two, we will need a method. And our number three will be the object itself. Basically, things to create what we call a class in general. And according to the chapter we are given to handle, it's within the premises of object-oriented programming. So that's why I'm talking of creating the object at the end. So basically in Python, there is a keyword called class. So if you are to create a class, you will begin with a keyword class like that. Then you state the name of the class you want to create. So a simple class we can create. Remember, if you are creating a, it's all about knowing what will the class do. So we are creating a class called parent. And by the way, by convention, this P or the first letter of the class say, anyway, even before I do this, let me just write the default thing as you have to do it. So you begin with a keyword called class, then you have to be having a class name like that. Then you have to terminate with the colon itself. Then inside your class, I hope you are all seeing that the cursor never went back to the beginning of the margin on number 5. It's somehow indented. So inside there, we'll put a method you want to be inside your class. Then at the end, sorry, this is the method. Then at the end, creating a class, you create an object like that. So in general, this is the syntax you have to follow when you are creating a class plus an object. You state this is a keyword, it's a class, this is a class name, this is a method, and this is an object. And you remember we said that always this will be a capital letter, always the beginning word of a class must be a capital letter. So if we are to start creating our class, we shall begin with a class. We talked of a parent, so it will be a capital P, then the others can be small letters. Parent, then I'll put the colon itself. Then inside, now what is a method? A method, this is a normal function. This is a normal function. So if you know how to if you know how to create a function, you are very okay with methods. There are only like if it's one thing that changes. So if I'm to create a method here, let me say this is a method below. Let me first remove this, I'll comment it later. So I'll begin with my method. It will be a def as we create a normal function in Python. Then you have to state, remember, for every function, a function has a name. So I can take this one to be the general characteristics. So I'll take this to be the general. Let me leave it to general like that. Then I'll open my brackets. So by default, PyCharm is putting for you solve inside the brackets. So this solve, which is here, is connecting this method you are creating to the parent. So without the self, it cannot be connected to the parent. So you have to know this. Always in the brackets, there must be self. Then the next step, you can put anything you want to be your characteristic. So I can just print something for us. I think this is a keyword. Let me try changing it. Let me leave it. So I can take my first characteristic to be tall. Then I can take it another one to be maybe brown. So basically, I'm having two characteristics inside the parent, and they are the general characteristics we know about the parent. So after you creating your method, then I've just finished creating a class called parent, exactly here on number 8. Then I'm having this is a method within a class. So, and on this line number 13, I would like to create an object to access what's in that class, just to access it, and we see how the object thing works. So, an object is like a variable. As you create a variable, say name, say age, anything you want. I can call it anything, even if it's a single letter. It can work. That's the convention for creating it. So it's the same way how we create variables, but the only thing that is going to change, what are you equating it to? So I can say this is obj1 being equaling to the, now equate it to the parent of with the bracket. So basically here you have created an object using this class. And I think you are seeing PyCharm is doing it very well and showing that you are having one usage here. So how do you access what's inside this class, the parent class? Remember now we are having an object, then we are having an object, a parent. So if I'm to get this object, which is the obj1, to access the method inside our class parent, which is the general, or just call it obj1 dot. Now I think we are all seeing that already general is brought to us automatically. So they are like, yes, the parent name is right here, and this is the method we're accessing. So when I select it, it will come automatically. And when you try running your program, it will be like tall, brown, because those are the characteristics which we stated exactly here. Let me remove this white space. Let me run it again. So it's kind of smart. So this is what like the object-oriented programming is all about. It's all about you creating different classes, different methods, and different objects. So this is the like how you start. But remember now, this is on a single class right now. Now the concept of inheritance comes in if you do not want to repeat yourself with typing the same thing again, again, and again. So you have to know that we have created a class, a method, then an object to access the parent class. So if you're all okay and there are no questions, let me continue with the inheritance part. Now we are having a class called a parent. We're having a method, sorry, called general with just printing two characteristics, tall and brown. So if you're interested in creating a link between a child and a parent, you can create another class. Wait, let me call this one child. Then it will be the same story, the way you create a class. Then I'll come inside here, I'll put some method, def, then this is child. And now this is child only. You know, open again my brackets. The moment you open brackets, they will link this off to the child. I think we're all seeing this off. It will connect to this. Then I can get some characteristics for the child. I can print. Now the child may be number one, maybe bright. Then let me say number two. Let me call this is fat. So we are having a parent and a class of a child. And according to the parent is tall, brown. And the child is also having his own characteristics, which is bright and fat. So how would you connect the two? Because right now, when you try creating an object, remember everything, the moment you create a class, in order to access anything within this class, you have to create an object for that class. So basically, if I want to access anything from the child class, I have to create an object for that child. So exactly here down, I can create an object. Let me call this obj2 equaling to. Then I'll call the child class. Then I'll open the bracket. And I think we are seeing that it's also having one usage right now. And the other parent had which had one usage, it's now having no usage. So basically, now how do we access a method within a child? So it's the same story. It will be obj2 dot. But if you are very kind, you are seeing very well. If you say dot, they will only bring on child only from the child class. And the moment you click it and you try running it, it will work. It will print for you fat. So this is fat, bright. Now, what if I want to connect the parent to the child so that this kid, we don't know whether she or he, will take all the characteristics of the parent. So that's where the concept of inheritance comes in. So I'll come at this point. Hope we are all seeing this line, number 13, because that's where your child class begins. Then exactly after the child, I'll open the brackets. Then I'll write in exactly this name right here, which is the parent, the way it is. It has to be the same. So just come here. No, no, no. So I'll come here, then I'll write parent. Now they'll tell me that parent is having one usage. So the one usage is within this class of the child. And now if you are very keen, the moment you try typing obj2 dot, now we'll be having even another method for the parent. But before this thing, let me first remove it. Before it, the moment, let me just, let me put it. I think we are all seeing this. It's only having one, which is the child. But the moment I try putting here parent, and I come back here and I check dot, I'll be having now two methods, one from the parent and another one from the child. So that's what inheritance is. So when I select the method for parent, it will work from the child class. Remember now, this object is for this class, for the child class. It's not for the parent, but Reason being, you have created a link here of a parent with a child by putting the name of the parent class into the brackets. The moment you try running it, you will see tall, brown, but this tall and brown is from the parent class mainly. And now this child can again get his or her characteristics with the obj 2 dot. Now let me take child only. So when I try running it again, I'll get tall, brown. So these two are from the parent and these two are for the child. So basically, that's what they call multi-level inheritance. It's like in order. It will be the parent having some characteristics, then the child will get some characteristics. Then, if the child produces other kids, they'll also get some characteristics that connected to the parent, the original source of the characteristics. So that's why when Derek was saying was like it's the normal way things do inheritance with the people. You produce a kid gets some of your characteristics or your character traits, and you'll be like, yeah, this is my son. So basically, that is the first part of inheritance in Python, and it's a multi level. So we are moving in a level whereby we have a parent, then we have a child. So we are having a parent taking in some characteristics. So we have so we are having a child taking in some characteristics from the parent. And the other thing is that you are not limited to the number of methods you put exactly down here. So I can add another method for myself. And I say this is only, so I can have only parent so that the kid will never inherit these ones. Can come here and I say maybe parent. So anything bad can say, let me call it now, let me say smoking, which is something like non healthy. So if you are interested, remember now the child and yes. So I think we are all seeing that now the parent class is having two methods. This is method one and this is method two. So the moment you say def, then you say a name, then you put self into brackets, you are creating a method. So this is for only parent. But the thing that you had connected a parent here, yes? Okay, I was still talking of these two methods within our class. And I was like, remember you have connected the child with the parent. So the child can access all, but now it's you to, yes? Okay. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now it's okay. So I was still talking of these two methods within our class, the parent class. Like remember, you have already created a link with above a parent and a child. So remember, this child will be able to access all these.
What about initializing your class? Why aren't you initializing your class?
That's okay. We are going to talk about it in the next session. Is it okay?
It's okay, sir.
Okay. So if we are all okay with this one, let me create another file here.
First, hold on.
Okay.
Help me. Help me. Head on me on the white on the other characteristic. That second method you've created.
The second method I've created,
Yeah.
I was like, it's like if you do inheritance in Python, remember we say that it's kind of similar to the human inheritance, but remember you can never inherit all your characteristics, all the characteristics of the parent. You can never take them all. That is in the normal way. Not so? But now in the Python way, the moment you start doing inheritance, just not the moment you put here parent, you connect the child with the parent, the child will take all these characteristics. That is the only difference between the human inheritance and the Python inheritance. So I was like, it's all about you to restrict, because if I'm not interested in the parent taking the only parent characteristics or these characteristics from this method, I'll be like, I'll just remove this line of code and it will be okay. That's how you can control the characteristics from the parent class to the child class. Have I answered your question?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Then,
Thank you.
as I have told you, this was multi-level. So multi-level, it was in the order of parent, child. Let me create another file here. So the other inheritance is called multiple. It's multiple. This is multiple. Then inheritance, that word. So how does the multiple inheritance work? Remember, we have talked of the multi-level whereby we had a parent, a child. So if it was a grandparent, it will be the grandparent, parent, then child. So it's in terms of levels. First level, second level, third level. You go on going downwards. But the thing with multiple inheritance, one one class can inherit methods from different classes. It's like it cannot be in the normal sense of people, whereby I'm talking of we are having a class. Remember, we're having a parent, we have a mother and a father. So in Python, there is a possibility that you can inherit the father's characteristics and the mother's characteristics. That's why they call multiple. You inherit from different people at the same time. But if you are very okay with this one, it was in order whereby you had a parent and now the child was the one taking the characteristics of the parent. So the other thing that the example I'm going to use, I got it from Brocode. It was very good. And first remember, he had to create a class, a general class to group all. So it was a class and he called it was animals in general, like that. So remember, animals do take in some general characteristics. We know that all animals are alive and they eat. So just print that. I'll create a method, def. I can call it main. No, this is a keyword. Let me call it, let me call it general again. Then I'll do the solve. Then exactly down here, I'll just print. Just, let me just say it's alive. Alive, then number two, it can be feeding. Or eating. Let me call it feeding. So, after creating the animal class, he went ahead and created a class of predators. This is predators. Sorry. So a class of predators. And remember, we all know some characteristics of predators that they feed on other animals, so they feed on flesh. So I'll create another method. Let me call it, let me just call it pred. Then there will be a solve. I'll come here, click on other animals. Then after, let me remove this space to keep things on the screen. So after creating the class for predators, so he came up with a class for prey. Let me hope we are noticing the capital letter for every, this capital letter, this capital letter, and this capital letter for the classes. Let me remove this. So this is def, then this is, let me call just pre. And the solve. So let me just print. These ones, they just hide. Let me leave it to that. So these ones hide. So after him creating all these different classes, he had to connect. Remember, there are some creatures that can be predators and at the same time prey to other creatures. So the general example was a fish. Remember, they are very basic. Let me let me create a class of fish. The normal way we create it. Now, if I'm interested, let me first connect my charge. After creating the class for fish, I can create a def and I say, let me call it fish with small letters. Then I'll open. So this is a method. So I'll just print. So this one lives in water. So basically we are having, there are four classes. We're having a class for animals, class for predators, prey, then this is fish. So we can create this fish to inherit from all these one, two, three. So that is multiple inheritance. And how would you do that? Exactly, yeah. Let me first create an object for this fish class. So let me say this is, let me use the obj thing. This is obj1 equaling to the, remember we say the fish class, then we open those brackets. So we have already created an object. And if you're very careful, when I say obj1 dot, I'll only be having only this fish method being accessible. When I select it and I try running the code, they will say lives in water. So that's already one characteristic. So I can come exactly here if I'm interested in inheritance, open the brackets, I'll begin with the animal exactly at the top. So it's animal. So if you come again to check the methods you are able to access, you put a dot, you see now you are having even access to animals. So when you try selecting the animals now and you run it, you will see alive feeding. You can come again and access, this is obj1 dot. You can access the fish and it will still work the same way. So far we have got the two characteristics from the animals and the one characteristic of the fish itself. So if I'm interested in even connecting this predator class, I will only come here where there is fish, then animals, then I put a comma, I will just put a, this is a predator. So let me first close this. So if you try coming to this point, let me put it exactly here. Then I try obj1 dot. Now I think we are all seeing that even we are getting access to the predator. So I can also select this and I run it. So I'll get alive feeding, feed on other animals, lives in water. So even if you are interested in getting from the prey, it's all about you put a comma, then just put a prey. And if you come to check now this is object we created dot, you will see that even now we're having the prey class being accessed. So guys, basically that is multiple inheritance